You are sitting at your kitchen table long after dinner, the lamp throwing a warm circle over a stack of envelopes, a phone screen lit with balanced notifications, and a mug gone cold beside a pen. The apartment smells faintly of coffee and the hum of the refrigerator, simple domestic sounds that somehow feel heavy tonight. You sort the bills, clip one into another, and whisper to yourself, next month will be different, as if the words could push the past month right off the treadmill. Across town, someone else closes an online banking app and swallows a sigh that tastes a lot like resignation. The scene is familiar, almost ritual, as money arrives, obligations follow, hope deflates, and the cycle repeats. Listen. This is not a failure of will. It is a story you've been living, an ordinary world shaped by invisible scripts and well-practiced emotions. I know those scripts because I've walked them with hundreds of people just like you, the teacher who covers extra expenses with credit, the small business owner who pays herself last, the parent saving for college while worrying about retirement. You hear a partner say, "We'll be careful," and you nod, but an old voice inside already lists the ways it will fall apart. Here is the central truth we'll use as our compass: repeated emotions create repeated realities. The law of attraction doesn't reward wishful thinking, it mirrors the feelings you live in. Anxiety tightens your choices, scarcity narrows your focus, and those patterns steer every decision, sometimes before you even know you're deciding. Imagine instead approaching your finances with steady, confident feelings that align your actions with abundance rather than fear. In this journey I will be your wise counselor. We'll name the hidden beliefs that replay old endings, map the moments where you unconsciously pull back, and practice simple thought shifts and aligned moves that break the loop. You won't need magic, just clarity, repeatable emotional habits, and deliberate steps. If this resonates, give this video a quick like so I know we're in this together. Tell me in the comments, what financial pattern keeps repeating in your life? And if you're ready to turn the treadmill into a new path, subscribe and stay with me. Next, we'll cross the first threshold and point a steady light at the invisible pattern that has kept you stuck. You sit at the kitchen table again, lamplight splitting the stack of bills, a coffee gone cold in a chipped mug. The calendar blinks the same week you swore you'd change. In the quiet, an old voice rises, "Not enough, not yet, wait until." It sounds like your own, but sharper, rehearsed. I name it for you now, the scarcity echo. It's a script learned long before you balanced your first checkbook, an automatic narrator that tightens your breath and narrows your choices. Watch it closely, you'll see how it colors every decision, how it turns a small unexpected expense into proof that the universe is against you. Across the room, a memory enters like a film flash, your younger self choosing a safe job over a risky passion, a parent whispering warnings about waste, a payday celebration that ends in emptiness. These scenes are not accidents, they are the scaffolding of belief. When you repeat the feeling of worry, you magnetize more situations that feel worrying. The law of attraction isn't mystical here, it's practical. The emotion is the signal you broadcast. Hold fear, receive fear. Hold peace, receive peace. Listen to the conversation you have with your money. "I can't afford that" becomes a verdict. "I'll never get ahead" becomes a prophecy. I sit with you, not to chastise but to translate. Notice the small, automatic moves. You skim the balance, you postpone the call, you say yes to a short-term fix that breeds long-term strain. Each action is a reply to the scarcity echo. Now imagine interrupting that rhythm with a single pause, breath in, question asked, "Is this true right now? What evidence do I have?" We begin with practical shifts, label the feeling without judgment, name the belief, and ask for one tiny aligned choice. Send one overdue email, cancel an unnecessary subscription, write down one thing you did handle this month. These are small rebellions against old programming. They start to rewire the emotional signal you radiate. If this resonates, tap like as a quiet nod, then tell me below, what pattern keeps replaying in your finances? Stay with me, next we step beyond naming the story into rewriting it, and I'll guide you through the first conscious reframe that changes the trajectory. You sit at the kitchen table as the late afternoon light thins into grey, the soft glow of your phone mapping the same numbers you've seen a dozen times this month. A stack of envelopes leans like tiny monuments to obligation, mortgage, utilities, car repair, the email about a dentist appointment for your daughter. You feel the familiar pull, breath shortens, jaw tightens, the old voice murmurs, "This is who you are. This is the ceiling." Close your eyes and you can almost hear it again, a parent's offhand worry, a teacher's caution about risk, the silent shame of a past mistake. These are not facts. They are patterns woven from repeated feelings. Imagine now a small, steady presence across from you, me, your counselor, leaning in not to fix your accounts but to name what's happening. That tightening is a signal, I say quietly. It's the scarcity loop speaking. Notice it without blame. You look up, skeptical, and I watch the lines around your eye soften a fraction. Naming the voice gives it a shape, the avoider who hides bills, the impulse who buys relief in a moment, the critic who says you'll never catch up. Once named, those parts lose some of their power. Outside, the washing machine hums, ordinary life continuing, and inside, we begin a different practice. Not a grand promise, but a single tiny interruption, the space between feeling and action. When the wave of panic rises, you breathe for 4 counts. You acknowledge the story, "I'm not enough," and then you ask, "Is this true today?" You feel something shift, like a door opening just enough to step through. This is where the law of attraction becomes practical, emotions repeated become the habit that invites reality. Repeat calm, clarity, and choice, and your pattern changes. Later, you make a small plan, one bill renegotiated, one impulse purchase paused, one conversation with a partner about shared priorities. The loop still exists, but you can see its gears. If this scene resonates, tap like, tell me in the comments what financial pattern always reappears in your life. Stay with me, next we'll practice a simple daily ritual that rewrites the inner script and begins to attract steady prosperity. Subscribe to continue the journey. You sit at the kitchen table again, the same pile of envelopes, the same glow of the phone showing a balance that seems to breathe less every month. Outside, the morning light is steady, ordinary, life continuing whether your bank account does or not. What happens in this moment? I ask, not as a lecture but as a question a careful friend would pose. You answer because you must. I feel a pit. I tighten. I promise myself I'll be more careful next time. Those words are small, but they loop like a scratched record. We name it together, fear, shame, defeat, and the naming already loosens its hold. In the living room the scene shifts, you replay that moment in slow motion. The phone vibrates, you think of bills, you see old mistakes flash like headlines. Why do I always react this way, you ask? I point to a pattern you've been trained to believe, money equals survival, survival equals scarcity. The law of attraction isn't magic here, it's mechanics. Repeated emotion welds repeated outcomes. Every time you meet money with panic, you align your life to more reasons to panic. This is the turning point, the work of a traveler learning new maps. Together we practice a small interruption, breathe 4 counts, name the feeling aloud, I'm anxious, then ask one practical question, what one small, kind action can I take right now? And choose it. In the next scene, you set an alarm and transfer a modest, symbolic amount to a seed account. It's not the size that matters. It's the consistent message your body receives, I am capable of caring for my future. We also rewrite language. Replace I can't afford with I choose not to right now, and notice how your posture changes. You create a weekly ritual, 10 minutes with your accounts, 10 minutes of gratitude for what arrived, 10 minutes visualizing next month without crisis. These are tiny, cinematic acts, coffee steam, fingers on keys, the soft clink of a cup, and they reprogram your nervous system. So tell me, what financial pattern keeps repeating for you? Leave your answer below. If you want short daily practices like this, subscribe to follow the next session, where we'll practice a guided ritual that alters not just your habits, but the feelings that summon a different future. The kitchen light hummed low as you sat with the stack of statements, edges soft from handling, numbers a familiar tide. You trace a due date with a fingertip and the old knot tightens, the same loop, the same tired script. I sit across from you, not as judge but as steady mirror. Tell me what you feel when you see that total, I say. Your voice is small, honest. Panicked. Embarrassed. Like I failed again. The room breathes with you, the kettle clicks and the sound carries a tiny permission to slow down. We begin to name the invisible. You speak aloud the beliefs that have been running the show: I'm not enough, money disappears, luck favors others. Each confession is a flicker of light through a curtain. I guide you to notice the sensations beneath the words, the tightness in your chest, the shallow fists of fear, the rush to do something, anything, to numb it. These automatic emotions, I explain, are the magnets. Repeated emotions create repeated realities. You lean into that sentence, tasting its truth. Tonight you practice a new move. When the old reaction rises, you pause and label it: fear, shame, scarcity, like naming a weather pattern inside your chest. You breathe through the sensation, feel it without acting. Then you offer a tiny counterthought: what if I keep a little this month? What if I ask for a payment extension? These are small aligned actions, not grand fixes. We rehearse them in a low-voice dialogue. What could you do in the next 24 hours that would honor your needs and your values? I ask. You list 2 things: call the utility company, set a modest saving target. Your tone is decisive now, surprised at its own courage. Outside, rain softens the street; inside, something else softens too, the rigid certainty that money is a threat. You begin to notice opportunities: a client who pays early, a neighbor who needs a skill you have. Each small aligned action becomes evidence that a different pattern is possible. The rhythm shifts from frantic reaction to choosing response. If this moment landed for you, tap like and tell me in the comments which financial pattern keeps repeating in your life. Subscribe quietly if you want to continue. There's a next test ahead that will challenge these new habits and reveal whether they can hold when pressure rises. You sit at the kitchen table again, the lamp casting a small circle of light over envelopes, a coffee cooling beside your phone buzzing with another reminder. The scene repeats: a paycheck lands, relief flares, then drains away as bills claim each dollar. I ask you to look closer now, not at the numbers, but at the stories that run beneath your hands. Hear the inner voices: I always run out, I don't deserve to keep more, if I save, something will break. They sound ordinary because they've been practiced for years. They are not truths, they are rehearsed responses that summon the same outcome. Picture a late afternoon, sunlight slanting through blinds. You try the first new move, naming the belief aloud. I believe I never have enough. It feels awkward, foolish. A memory edges forward: an anxious parent, a childhood promise to be careful. The memory isn't the enemy, it is the clue. When you name the pattern, its power loosens. You notice how your body tightens, how your shoulders pull in. You take a breath, small and steady, and choose a different thought: I can create room. The immediate feeling shifts a degree. That shift, repeated, rewires the pattern. You don't do it alone. Imagine a brief dialogue with the wiser part of you, the mentor voice that sounds like calm common sense. You ask, what if I mess this up? The mentor replies, then you practice again. Each practice is evidence you are learning abundance. You try a simple act: instead of paying everything immediately, you set aside a modest $5 buffer, a symbolic boundary that says money can stay. It feels almost silly, and then it doesn't. The buffer becomes habit. The emotional reaction, panic, shows up, but you respond differently. That response is the true currency. There will be stumbles. A surprise bill arrives and old panic wants to run the show. This time you catch it sooner, you call a friend, you reschedule a payment, you breathe. Each small, aligned action counters the old script and gathers momentum. If this resonates, tap like and tell me in the comments what pattern keeps repeating in your finances. Subscribe to stay with this process. Next, we'll map a practical daily ritual that turns these small shifts into lasting financial traction. You sit at the kitchen table as late afternoon light slants across overdue notices and a coffee gone cold. The room hums with the ordinary: a refrigerator, a child's crayon drawing pinned to the fridge, the soft buzz of worry. I lean in beside you, not as a judge but as a seasoned guide. Tell me the story you tell yourself when the balance gets low, I ask. You rub your temples and the confession comes out like a tired loop, I always lose ground. I'm just not good with money. The sentence is small, but it carries a weather system inside it, the same gusts that have kept your finances circling the drain. We name that gust scarcity. We don't argue with it, we map it. Scarcity is the quiet voice that tightens your chest when a bill arrives, the impulse that makes you spend to soothe a flicker of shame, the old family script that whispers not enough. Once named, it shrinks. You can watch it now, like reading words on a page instead of being swallowed by them. Here's what shifts the pattern: repeated emotions create repeated realities. So if anxiety has been the soundtrack, we must compose a new one, not fake optimism, but steady, calibrating feelings that align with stability and growth. We practice a simple ritual together. When the next payment notice arrives, pause. Breathe 3 counts in, 4 out. Place a palm on your heart and say, I am learning how to hold money. Then make one aligned action: schedule an automatic transfer to savings for only a small, manageable amount. Celebrate that transfer, even with a quiet thank you. Emotion follows motion, motion feeds belief. We practice catch and reframe: notice the thought I'll never get ahead and immediately name the emotion, fear, anger, shame, then ask, what tiny step could feel less fearful right now? Maybe it's turning off a non-essential subscription, calling your bank for a lower rate, or listing one thing you can sell without pain. These micro-victories rewrite your inner script. You're not alone in this kitchen, your future self is already there, calm, with bills neatly stacked and a small grin. If this resonates, tap like and tell me in the comments what financial pattern keeps repeating in your life. Subscribe to stay with me. Next, we build daily rituals that cement these shifts and make prosperity habitual. The kitchen light is warm but thin, the evening moving slow as the paper rustles between your fingers. I sit across from you, not as a judge but as a guide, watching the tension that lives in the crease of your brow. What do you feel when you look at this? I ask. You look up, voice small, and name it, I feel tight, afraid I won't have enough. Those 2 words are the map. Naming the feeling pulls it out of the dark and gives us a place to work. We breathe together. I tell you to let the word float for a beat, notice where it lives in your body, the clench in your jaw, the chill in your gut. You describe it, and with each sentence the fear loses some of its power. Then I ask a quieter question: what belief sits behind that fear? You say, money runs out. I nod. That belief is an old loop, learned and replayed. We don't shame it, we thank it for protecting you once, and then we choose a different action. Try this with me, I say. We replace the old script with a small, true alternative: I manage my money with care, opportunities come in steady. It sounds almost too simple, and yet the moment you speak it, your shoulders drop. We anchor it with a tiny physical cue, a fingertip on your pulse, so your body begins to learn a new feeling for a new thought. Now the practical alignment, not a huge overhaul, but a single, strategic step. You pick one: automate a modest transfer to savings, call one overdue client, say no to a small impulse. You do it while holding the new sentence, so action and feeling stitch together. The bills stay on the table, but your relationship to them shifts. The loop has been interrupted. Outside, a rain begins to patter, soft, like permission. I lean in and ask, gently, which repeating pattern showed up for you just now? If this moment landed, give it a like, tell me your pattern in the comments, and consider subscribing to continue this journey together. There's more ahead. Next, we'll turn these small wins into a steady rhythm that rewrites your financial story. The kitchen is quiet now, sunlight angling across a pile of envelopes like a spotlight. You sit there, fingers tracing the edge of a bill, and the old tape recorder in your mind clicks on, not enough, watch out, don't spend. In that small room a conversation begins, one voice thin with habit, the other steadier, older, wiser. Who are you when the money comes? The wise voice asks. A survivor tied to a balance, or a steward shaping what arrives? You answer out loud, soft at first, then firmer, I want to be steady. I want my life to breathe. The next stretch of this journey is practical and profound. we name the invisible patterns, the shame that tightens your jaw when a paycheck lands, the instant loop of fear that turns small surpluses into emergency fixes, the automatic script that equates worth with balance accuracy. Naming them strips them of mystery. You begin simple experiments. When a payment arrives, you pause. You take 3 deep breaths and say, "This money is a current, I will direct it." You divide it into clear channels: sustenance, growth, giving, and you notice how your chest unclenches. Action follows feeling. Small automated transfers become commitments to a new story, a 1% gift, even symbolic, rewire scarcity into generosity. It's not magic, it's habitual reorientation. In one scene you stand before a mirror, recounting a different ledger. Debts are not character judgments, they are tasks. You plan, instead of panic. You set a weekly check-in with your future self. What did we do well this week? What tiny adjustment will increase our ease? Each choice is a lesson in alignment. Thought softens, feeling steadies, actions compound. The law of attraction here is simple and unglamorous. Repeated emotions create repeated realities. Repeat calm, confident gratitude, and your life begins to respond. You won't erase every old reflex in a day, but you will gather proof: a saved $200, a bill met without dread, an unexpected opportunity that fits because you were present to see it. If this landed with you, tap like and tell me below, what financial pattern keeps repeating in your life? Stay with this pathway. In the final step, we'll weave these experiments into an identity you carry every morning, and the map to make prosperity steady and lasting. You've come all the way through this journey, from that cold moment at the kitchen table, bills in one hand, last paycheck in the other, to a quieter place where the pattern no longer runs you. Picture the same kitchen now, sunlight through the window, a cup of tea cooling as you breathe, and a ledger not of scarcity but of choices. That ledger carries small entries: I named the fear, I felt it without obeying it, I chose a different thought, I acted in alignment. Those entries are the elixir you bring back to your life. Remember the invisible loop we named, the automatic shame, the frantic spending, the resignation that this is just how it is? Those were not facts. They were rehearsed emotions that kept creating the same ending. The law of attraction is simple and merciless: what you feel repeatedly, you attract repeatedly. Your work now is to deliberately feel a new habit into being. That doesn't mean forcing joy when you're anxious, it means noticing the anxiety, softening its grip, and choosing a composed, steady feeling that matches the financial reality you want to create. Imagine a scene: you open your inbox and, instead of flinching, you say aloud, "I can handle this." The inner critic pipes up: "You always mess this up." You respond kindly, "Not this time. I've learned the pattern." That small dialogue is powerful. It interrupts the old script and creates space for an aligned action: reviewing a budget, calling to negotiate a bill, setting a tiny weekly savings transfer. Those actions, repeated with the new feeling behind them, reshape your reality. You are not asked to be perfect, you are asked to be persistent. Take the daily practices we explored: naming the emotion, a 3-minute reframe, one aligned step, and stitch them into ordinary mornings and evenings. Over weeks, the treadmill slows, and then it stops. You begin to step forward. If this felt true for you, give it a gentle like. Share below which financial pattern keeps repeating in your life. Your comment matters. If you want guided exercises to cement these shifts, subscribe and I'll guide you through the next set of practices, so the comeback you're starting becomes the steady life you live.